Oh hey, I paid the oxygen bill a while ago.
Oh, thanks.
No problem.
Hey, sweetie. How was school?
It was okay. I sat with my friends during lunch.
Do you have any homework?
Yeah, something about trees. Why don't we have any now?
Things happen, but it was beautiful before. Trust me.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about your homework?
Were trees really that important?
Yes, they were.
How did they even look? Were they all just big green things?
No, there were different kinds of trees. There were big ones, there were small ones. Their leaves were green, yellow, red, orange, and they were so much more than what they looked like. They gave us the paper we wrote on, the wood for the house we lived in, and the air we breathed. Without trees, we wouldn't even be here today.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mom.
It's getting late. You should go to bed.
Good night.
Good night. Our son's questions made me nostalgic about that world we used to live in. Now, it hurts to just even think about it. I miss the fresh air from decades ago, all the green that surrounded me. Now it's all gone. Wasn't your company connected to the logging industry? Come to think of it, you never actually told me what happened, why you had to close down your company.
Well, the truth is, our son's questions also had me thinking about the past. Not just the past world that we lived in before, but also the mistakes that I made. I was such a capitalist back then. I didn't bother to think about the consequences of my greed. I broke the law. It was in our best interest to step up our game. I demanded my designers to create better designs, forced my employees to work harder, and of course, I got greedy. I wanted the best. I called a lot of people, and finally, I was able to get to one of the senators. The senator agreed to partner up with the relaunching project. He said that as long as he got the 50% shares of profit, he will take care of the necessary documents needed to acquire the wood. I knew that it was illegal, as he was the proprietor of a new bill to protect the nature reserve, and this was against everything that he promised the people. But I still went through with it. After all, I was an ambitious businessman. I had to look for someone to do all the work, and I picked this laborer of mine who sent a pay loan earlier that week. I knew that he was willing to do anything to get the money that he needed, and so I arranged a meeting. I gave the guy the fake papers I got from the senator, not telling him they were fabricated. It was wrong of me, taking advantage of a helpless man. So the next night, after preparing the necessary equipment, he set out to start acquiring the wood for our project. For almost a couple of months, he was successful in chopping off the wood and timber in the forest reserve without anyone noticing that most of the trees in the forest have been cut off. He got caught by a couple of rangers who were roving the area. He tried to show the permits, pleading that he wasn't doing anything wrong, but the policemen immediately arrested him after seeing that his documents weren't legitimate after all. He was immediately brought to the station and got detained for the night. In the morning, he was questioned by the state prosecutor. He was forced to tell them the entire story, that I was the one who sent him to get the wood, gave him the fake papers, and didn't tell him it was against the law. Satisfied, the prosecutor built up the case and told him to cooperate with the court in exchange for a shorter sentence. Meanwhile, I was completely oblivious to his arrest. I thought that his delay in the delivery was caused by a personal concern, and frankly, I was just caught up with the project. So when policemen came into the office, I was shocked to see my worker with policemen ordering for my arrest. I couldn't look them in the eye as the prosecutor was stating claims and charges against me. Shortly after that, I was put to trial, and because of the veracity of the primary evidence, I was immediately sentenced guilty by the court, and the damages were too much for me to shoulder and still go on. Because of the sentence, I was also forced to close down the company as we were operating illegally, and of course, since we had fake permits and documents. I'm one of the reasons we're not breathing fresh air. Yes. And I'm sorry I had to hide this from you. But because I was so lost, I couldn't bear to tell you. My pride was hurt, and I didn't want you to see me in that light. That's why I ventured to a different field, to forget, and to spare you and our son from my mistakes. But even then, look where we are now.
I understand your guilt, and what you did was really wrong. But I believe and do hope that you've learned from this. I'm also saddened by the fact that even the authors of such laws fail to practice what they preach. I mean, you're not the only one who made this mess. We failed to protect what gave us life, and now we're suffering. The lawmakers put themselves above who put them in their positions, corruption clouding their judgment. I mean, what good does it do to propose a lot of promising programs and decrees that try to save the environment when people still don't follow them? Or at least value what we had and see its importance? What do we have now? Nothing.
I know I messed up, and if I could turn back time, I would. I wouldn't have cut corners just to get what I wanted. But I did. But I'm hopeful that the future generations can turn our world back into what it was. Back to the world they deserve to live in. It's time to go back to our roots.